Who Put This On, Season 3, Episode 49. I'm Chris Lorenz.
I'm Brian Houston.
Garam Maxala.
This is James.
Yeah, before we start... Oh, did I mention what we're going to watch? No.
Now's the time.
So we watched
the
Street
show.
Food, Season 1, Episode 3.
It's true.
And shout out, next week is our season finale. So you'll find out top 5, bottom 5 of this season. So if you need to catch up, now's the time.
Episode 50.
Episode 50.
The 5-0.
50.
The
Is
cops
it
will
50
get
or
called.
50?
50.
50.
Episode 50.
Exciting.
Did you see
it's-
50 Cent was having some kind of beef on Twitter with somebody? With like some kind of agent or something? Anyways, we should get out of the internet corner. But anyways, like
I mean,
50 Cent was just destroying this guy. And he's like, pay up and I'll let off. And then the dude pays up. He's like, oh yeah, we cool again. Anyways, that was me making up for Noah's absence. Miss you, Noah.
My dad once saw 50 Cent at a gas station. He had a whole posse of cars.
There's
Oh.
a small spoiler here that I think that this conversation might be more interesting than the show.
Yeah.
I really thought you were going to say that you knew 50 Cent or something there.
Nope.
So we took a gamble and we tried doing something a little more in the documentary area.
So let me read you this description right
Yeah.
quick before you just blow it here.
We got. We'll talk about it.
All right, so tonight we watch Street Food. Embark on a global cultural journey into street food and discover the stories of these peoples who create the flavorful dishes. That's it.
That's it.
I'm not joking. That's really. I had to double check myself midway through because I'm like, wait a minute.
yeah.
Nope, that's really it. That's all we got. And tonight we watched Delhi.
Yeah,
India.
which is episode 3. Like I'm always seeing this like Netflix top of the line, above the fold kind of stuff, and I like never watch it.
Yeah.
So I was like, this is above the fold. I guess it's kind of a reality show. I kind of thought it might have been, but like we saw it as a docuseries. We're like, why not? We watched that Deadliest Catch show, which I would also call kind of a docuseries.
Yeah.
So I was like, let's try it out.
See what
And
it is.
I think we hit a miss on this one, guys. I don't think this,
I didn't dislike it. It's just so bad to pod about.
there isn't. I'm not sure. It definitely is not good for the pod.
I don't think the show qualifies for our podcast.
I agree with you.
Like,
But, like, we've never really
there's a weird
set
line here,
the-
right? Yeah.
The hard and fast line on what it is, because I always said like I try to say the producers set up the scenario. I mean, they kind of set up the scenario. I mean, it's just like interviewing people, but like the Deadliest Catch, people were like, "Oh, but this show, this show's good," and like, well, that doesn't really fit our definition either.
So I think one of the things that's super different with this is that there's not like these characters. There's not like these people that are reoccurring like in the show where you sort of can get invested. And I think that's the key difference between like the show and like a Deadliest Catch.
Yeah. Well, I mean, to be fair, it doesn't really need to have like repeating characters to be like a reality show or like even like a good one. I mean,
It's true.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I
Some
agree.
of
That's
it-
not the only thing. I feel like that's just like
Yeah.
the major difference in these like docuseries-esque
It's
type
true.
genres where I could see a show like Deadliest Catch being considered more reality TV because you have these like personas, you have these people, and they develop into these characters, and you start to like you get attached to those people if you become a watcher of the show.
I think this is basically food porn with some interviews attached. It's not like character development. And
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
about that
with
OJ
one
documentary?
exception. What about what?
What about that OJ documentary?
I haven't seen it.
There's like an 8-episode series. You get to really know OJ. Like,
yeah, there was a lot of character development there.
There's a lot of character development about OJ. I'm just
okay.
playing devil's advocate
No,
here.
no, for sure. I think I
Your
mean character a
definition-
different way because. We'll get into it. I don't know if we're doing minutia or we're just in it at this
We're
point.
just-
We've
We're-
already
so
given up
this
on the
is
actual
the-
pod.
This is the more interesting topic. Talking about whether we should do quote unquote docuseries for the podcast. And I think that this one might have put the nail in the coffin for a long time.
I mean, I think it's in the penalty box.
The docuseries or
Oh, yeah.
Netflix?
Maybe both.
Netflix is fine.
Yeah.
All right. The
This is
docuseries is
our
definitely
choice.
out for a while.
How about this? If you bring a docuseries to the table, then you have to have watched it and you have to like have cleared it. So then, like, if you don't get it, then like you were gonna get like stuff thrown at you.
Do it.
All right.
Stamped. Approved.
Approval.
I think it means this Brian has to pre-screen our shows for us.
All right.
I don't want to do that.
Brian just volunteered.
Nope.
So let's get to the show a little
Yeah.
bit. So this is set in Delhi. So we're going to butcher all of the things we're talking about because it's in Hindi or whatever other language, and we do not speak that language very well. So
I mean, they even mentioned this in the show a little bit where like some of these dishes and things, like these names are not like common names or common sounds that like we traditionally hear in the States very often, or even like these dishes referred to, even if you go to like an Indian restaurant or something. So we're bad at pronouncing these,
some of
if we're being
them
honest.
were like stuff we've heard of.
Yeah, I mean, like we've been there. Like I've had,
But like a
majority of these
samosa,
things.
like
Sure.
if you've had Indian food,
Yeah.
you kind of know what a samosa is.
yeah.
There was like Sikh kebab,
Mhm.
which like most Americans are aware of kebabs like as a thing.
Oh, sure, like a kebab. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
But these are
Sikh-
tastier because they have things called spices.
Yeah.
What?
Minutia, Brian. That's minutia. We're gonna come back to the spices.
I mean,
Yo,
so
but I
the,
get excited.
so the big through line here, as like, well, I guess to get to the minutia, is they introduce these main like guy that they follow through the whole episode, and he's like this chef that makes this thing called a potato chaat.
Aloo chaat, which means potato chaat.
At some point, they wrote potato chaat, so that I wrote down, and he like goes through like his depressing childhood and adulthood, and then like how he survived. I don't know, but it's like this whole like through line, and then they go through some specific dishes that you can get in Delhi, and some of us have had some of them, and some of them we haven't had some of them.
and they sort of sprinkle. I would say they sprinkle in like a few things about the area, and like there's like this one other person that they seem to be interviewing who I don't have any idea is.
She was a cultural something. or
Oh
other.
yeah, she was like a cultural historian or
She's
something.
Yeah.
the host.
I kind of viewed her as like the host or explainer, right? She was sort of narrating a bit, saying like, "This is what this dish is. This is how this dish came to be here." Kind of going into a little bit of the history, I would say, but that's really about the only other aspect of the show.
Yeah. So do you guys want to go dish by dish here? Is this how we want to do
Not
this?
really.
I mean, it's like we don't
There's-
have a
yeah.
whole lot to talk about. Like,
I want to dig into our main the through line you discussed.
okay,
This
I mean,
just fell so flat for me. And I'm gonna say something really fucked up, which is like, I felt bad for the guy, but I wasn't emotionally, involved because I didn't see the tasty food he was making until the end of the show. You
they
know?
definitely didn't do a good job of getting me to care about this guy.
They just like, hey, I'm this guy. You don't know anything about me. My childhood sucked.
Like, it's just
So-
not. It's just not.
I love
filmed
going
very
to the
well.
movies.
We
just-
got to
go
roll the
ahead.
tape back on this one because I think they sort of start this whole episode off on like a bad foot.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And so they start the very beginning of this thing with 2 to 4 minutes intro of this main character guy who's the cook or the chef.
call him
uh,
Mr. Chot.
Yeah, and he's just sitting in this movie theater telling you, he's narrating to the screen that how much he liked watching and going to the movies as a kid. And it's a close-up shot of him just sitting in those chairs, watching movies in this theater. And we're like 2-3 minutes into the show called Street Food. I have no idea why I'm watching this guy or why he's talking about I immediately assumed, I think somebody said something. I'm like, he's just going to be like one of the main chefs of this story. And this is just like, it's going to be just a background. Like, here's his origin story. It was a very
like-
weird way to start this particular episode off, I felt like.
I mean, like this is gonna go like a little detail, but like the whole thing was like, hey, like usually like in a movie, like you're like the hero, like and the hero's gotta be like handsome and like strong, and this was a prelude to like him telling a story about his family where like he had to be somewhat of the hero, and it just didn't like really like resonate with me.
Well, they didn't set it up at all. They
No.
were just like, this is a dude and this is a story we're telling, but it wasn't actually all that interesting. I don't think ever.
No.
But
mean, it
like
was
at the
sad.
end,
Like, it was
at
like,
the end,
okay,
it was
you know.
like, oh, okay, so like he's like one of the top street food vendors or something, but like you got to set that up at the beginning. You got to be like, this is the number one street food. This is my favorite street food. Like his journey is amazing. He's an awesome person or something. Like this is like. This reminds me a lot of watching NBC and like the Olympics or like CBS or ABC when you're watching like America's Got Talent or something. They're like, yeah, there's this guy and we're going to talk about his sad backstory so you guys care about him. But like when you're watching America's Got Talent, like you get to see the talent generally or like
Yeah.
something,
Right.
and then you get to like kind of figure out what the backstory is. Like you kind of care a little bit, where they didn't do a good
They
job
hook
of
you. They
caring,
never hooked you.
making you care, and then they spent like it was so interspersed and jumbled that I was like, what is going on? Are we talking about the same guy?
And also every like shot of him fucking dragged. There was like 10 seconds of silence between each of his sentences.
They definitely were trying to fill this 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Like I don't understand. Like how much there's so much street food. Just show more street food.
Yeah. Maybe it was just a bad episode, but yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah,
It was-
I think like the idea of this show was really catching, right? You're like street food, Asia. This whole series is in Asia. This whole season for them, right? And so like episode 1 is Bangkok, and like this one is Delhi. I think there's one in Seoul, South Korea. Now I don't know though. Like I'm kind of like I thought I was gonna get like super informed and be like, oh man, I got to go here and experience all these things. I've been there and experienced these things, so maybe it's a little bit tainted, but I don't know. This episode didn't pull me in. It didn't really make me want to eat that food.
Yeah.
I don't
I
even know if
agree
I
with-
would give it the food porn label. You know what I mean? Like the food was barely
It was barely in
there-
the show, yeah.
Yeah.
They tried to just focus more on like culture because they definitely brought up like, oh yeah, street food like and cha is like a key ingredient is family because like families would run these stalls like for generations, and I hope that like the other ones like kind of aren't like I wonder if that's just like an India thing or if it's like a world thing. So maybe like street food in a different country could just be like I don't know, like there's not that much like history behind it.
It is going to be interesting if you watch another episode because it's like this episode's so colored by this like Mr. Chot and like this cultural historian that like I don't know what another episode looks like because you can't have the same cultural historian for like Seoul. Like that's just like not going to work.
Right.
And Mr. Chot's story is told. So like maybe they'll get another sad story. I don't know. That would be really depressing. Could you imagine if every episode this had like a Mr. Chot story? Like, yeah, we like lost the house. My dad got into his dad got into drugs.
No, his brother.
Was it his brother?
Yeah,
It
his
was-
dad fell ill, and then his
dad
brother was
died,
helping out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then later his dad died.
Yeah, they were like they didn't have enough money for bread, and I was like, and they pawned jewelry, and their business still failed. Like, it is fucking sad, and like it's sad that we're like talking about how we didn't connect with the guy, and I don't know what it was that made us not connect.
I think it was the storytelling. Like I just don't think that like this story was the story like he was telling the story, but like I just think the way that they filmed and pieced it together in terms of like a film or a video, it just I don't know, it just missed the mark for me to connect.
It could also have been like when going in with like different expectations because like I went in thinking that like yeah we're going to talk about like a bunch of the food, and instead like we're going like in depth into somebody's story like a little bit. I expect a little bit of the culture still, but like it was more focused on the story than the food.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's where it fell flat, I guess.
I think there's a couple disconnects too. I think that interspersed with like him telling his story is like a couple kids going out and playing cricket in this like dirt field.
Can you
and you're
explain it?
just-
I have no idea. I don't know. Like
I'm
why?
just like, what does this have to do with anything?
It
So
was
it's
just like
just-
how they would have fun because like he didn't have much money. growing
No,
up.
I understood like thematically, like it kind of made sense, but like it had nothing to do with this
Yeah.
story, really. It was no connecting there. And I think the other big disconnect is just we had to read it. Like I think that if he was speaking English, it would be easier to connect with him. And like that's just a cultural thing, but like I think it does have an impact.
Do you think that like any subtitles like really hurts it?
No, I just think that we didn't get the emotional impact.
Okay.
And I don't know if that's because maybe he just didn't give the emotional impact through his speaking at all either. Because he seemed pretty dry. So like, I don't know. Because I've definitely watched subtitle stuff where I like get the emotions and I like understand what's going on. But like,
Oh yeah, I guess you guys did watch Terrace House, right?
Oh, love that
Yeah.
Terrace House.
yeah. So it's just like, I don't know. It's definitely just bad, like did not hit with us at all.
What are some better ways the four of us could have spent our 30 minutes?
I don't think we're done with the show, Max.
Oh,
Max wants to be
I'm
done.
done with the show.
Yeah, I think that there's some things we should talk about. I think that like while watching these shows, a big aspect of like we were all there and like we just couldn't drink the water, so like literally couldn't eat like any of the food on the show.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Go ahead, Brian.
Like,
we could have done
the
like some
street-
of them, like
The
but like
street versions of these.
like we could have done like some of the stuff like the kebabs, but like the chaat definitely not. They also had what's the puffball like with
the
water in
stuffed
it?
with water.
Yeah.
Starts with the B.
There was that wasn't choli putara.
Yeah, it's the
Putare.
second word. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, you definitely couldn't have that. Like, it's a mixed thing. Like, we just couldn't have them, and like you can only experience them in like a different setting. So even if like we had them at like say a restaurant or like catered to us, we would never experience it in the same way that other people do because it's just not going to be.
Like you just can't go to the random dude on the street.
You can't
And-
go to
and
this guy,
Yeah.
right? The chef of this series. You can't. We just can't go there.
He did say that he bought filtered water, but
Yeah,
you
but
never know.
Yeah, you just like we're not going to be seeking that out. Like it's going to be tough to find that for us.
Yeah, that I mean that's something important to bring up, which they don't really bring up in the show. Is just like as we go there, and like no one knows Indian street food really, other than maybe a samosa and a kebab. But like these like weird esoteric ones that they bring up in the show, it's like we haven't heard of them because it doesn't really make it out of India because you can't go there and eat it. Like you,
It's tough. Yeah, I mean, it's tough. I mean, like you can certainly go and physically eat it. No one will stop you. So it's not like that, right? It's just really from a stomach is not acclimated to that water source and foods and etc. So like it just destroys.
I mean,
it destroys my stomach.
as
so
most
like,
of us in this room, I think, can tell you is that you can and will get sick.
right. So like it's
Worth
just
it.
it's not advised. Max says it's worth it, but I could tell you I was in a room with Max when he would say it was not worth it.
Oh yeah.
If you're going to India for like a couple months and you can afford to spend a week acclimating to the water,
Right. Like
then like by all means, like
or
get-
maybe over
get-
time, but like it's hard.
Like-
so, but that's a major piece, right? Is it's like you go, you want to see, and to me, especially traveling abroad, especially to like a lot of the countries. I mean, I've mostly been to Asia, but I find it really interesting to experience the new land like through the foods because you do learn a lot. You see how these people are making foods and like the flavors you get and like some of those histories. But it's kind of a shame we can't enjoy more of that in India. So I was excited to see the show to like see a little bit more of the stuff, but there was nothing sort of new
like so
that I haven't seen.
the people in this room, have you had a chaat, an aloo chaat?
Yeah.
We all did at Haldiram.
Okay. I don't really remember what anything was called while I was there because people ordered for me a lot.
Right.
This was the like place on the third floor that we met up with Anshul and his
Oh,
mom.
okay. That's where I've had most of these, I feel
Yeah.
like.
Yep.
Very specific on the podcast, Max. Very, very specific reference there.
Yeah.
That place was very good, by the way.
That place was
I don't know what it's called.
It's called Haldiram's. It's a chain chaat place in India. I don't know how far widespread it is, but you can actually buy a lot of their sweets here.
I think there's actually a
Haldiram.
branch
Send me
here.
some free stuff to who put this on.
Yeah, that's our commercial. Then there was something, I'm going to butcher this, a Nahari stew?
Yep.
I think you got it okay on that one. I think
I don't know.
we'll never know.
Whatever. Tweet at me.
That one sounded good. I will say that was one of the few that I hadn't necessarily heard of distinctly before, and that like stew looked good. Like they were showing that one, and that was one of the few dishes I was like, oh man, this was like this vibrant red. Like it looked spicy in a heat level kind of way. It looked really flavorful. You could see some of that, and I think it was, I don't know, it was buffalo. I think it was this
Yeah.
one.
Yeah.
And they take like the whole chunks of meat on the bone. They cook this thing overnight, and then they eat it in the morning. And boy, I'll tell you that looked good.
There was,
That was one of the
definitely a
few.
huge crowd there.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Like that would be one of the few places I'm like, oh man, that sounds like
Is
something
that worth
to
it?
try.
That worth it?
Um,
Hashtag worth it, Max.
I guess well,
Possibly.
yeah, I don't know. I mean, that one might be fine. Like that's a stew. Like you could probably eat that. It depends on like if it's a water base or some other base, but
Oh, you can find out.
Well,
Gotta
you
find
can-
out.
I mean,
Buffalo
it's getting
base.
boiled. You just don't want like also like if they're like touching it in any way. That's another thing.
Then they had a Sikh kebab.
sea kebab's pretty good.
This was at a place that 3 of us have been to called Kareem's. It's great.
Which is in Old Delhi.
Yeah, Chakri Chot.
Yep, Johnny Chuck.
Johnny
And
Chuck,
the chef, or sorry, the original chef used to cook for the emperor of the was it the Mongols, right? And so this is now in
Mughals.
what is it?
Mughal Empire.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, thank you. And this is now in like the 4th generation. The recipe is unchanged, which I find really interesting about this place. I will definitely say that's one of the places that you can go to, and it's really good.
It's
would
incredible.
Recommend. Yeah.
Yeah.
The sea kebabs, though, to talk on that one, it's a minced lamb meat,
Yeah.
ground lamb meat with spices, and then cooked or wrapped around a kebab stick, cooked over an open flame. Also very good.
Yeah, definitely good. I didn't have it at that specific place, but I definitely had it while I was there.
Yeah.
I'm gonna butcher this one for sure.
Do it.
Chol butare.
Was that the
Aturi?
water-filled ball things?
Yeah.
Yeah. So what's more interesting about this, and here's again how this show misses. So when you are in the streets in India, like you will see this one in particular just everywhere in parks, streets, like all just all around. And they're
It is
usually just
the-
in these
These
bins.
are the peanuts of America, of
Right.
like India.
Yeah. I didn't even think about that. Yeah, you're totally right. It's kind of like a New York City like peanut cart in like India,
Yeah.
Yeah.
the equivalent.
Could be like a hot dog cart. We see a lot of hot dog carts in Seattle. Like the street food of
it's true.
Seattle is like the most boring street food. It's like we got
Hot dogs, and that's it. Well, we got Seattle dogs.
I mean, the
which is
Seattle
just-
dog is the most interesting. You'd have this whole episode like around like some sad story about cream cheese on a hot dog. Like I don't even know. Like that would. There's no inch. You can't even fill 30 minutes of Seattle
If
street
there's
food.
a 30-minute docu-series on a Seattle dog, I'm gonna definitely watch it because I just gotta know what it's gonna be.
I'm just gonna be on my phone the whole time. Like I'm not even gonna pay attention.
Oh man. Whew.
Like yeah.
The street food is such a different thing. Like in America, there's all these food regulations and healthcare things, and
Where do you put like food trucks on this list? Like, they're not really like street food, but at the same
Closer.
time, like
They're closer.
I think. Well, let's get back to this Butara thing first. Actually, explain what it is, James.
okay. I'm gonna butcher this again, so please don't hate me. But it's some kind of dough or something that seems to be fried in a spherical way, and I guess what appears to be some sort of oil. So they do that. They take it out. They dry it. And then it looks like they fill it basically with like flavorful stuff. I'm hand waving here. But this is
Chickpeas with seasoning.
yeah, chickpea seasoning and water essentially. And so like that whole like chickpea and water combination is the reason that like I've never been able to kind of eat it while I've been over there. But yeah, you see these things everywhere. Like yeah, pretty good.
Yeah. So
Seems like they'd be great.
I think that the food truck situation can be part of street food as long as it's like consistent. But it can't be just one food truck either to be like part of the like city street food, right? Like Monster Dog is, I mean, it's like hot dogs. Like hot dogs everywhere. If there was more stuff like Monster Dog that like actually more than one food truck made. Like if there's grilled cheese trucks all over the place,
yeah.
I'd consider that. But there's like two, right?
Yeah.
You're talking about hot dogs specifically in Seattle?
No,
I
I'm
mean,
just saying like what would be considered
Yeah.
Seattle street food?
definitely a Seattle dog.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Seattle dog. We know that.
Heroin.
The prevalent thing is like is a
Say
pretty
heroin?
key factor.
What?
Whoa.
Max.
Man.
Heroin Max over here,
Damn.
everybody. What was your name again today?
Garam Maxala.
I'm Max
It
Sala.
means hot spice mix, but Max is in there.
I don't know. I kind of like the idea that you just call yourself Hot Spice Mix.
Yeah. So I think that like it has to be prevalent,
Yeah.
but again, it's so hard to like kind of do that as a city nowadays. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm trying to think if there's like another city even that comes to mind with like a street food. Like hot dogs, I think. Like, why is it that like America has hot dogs? Like, damn it.
I don't know.
It's just the only thing we got. Like, New York's got them, Chicago's got them. Like,
Portland's street food situation is pretty good.
Like Portland,
like the food
What they
trucks,
got?
right?
No, they have
Or-
like these little blocks that like, yeah, they are kind of food trucks, but
Yeah.
like they're kind of permanently
yeah,
there.
they're permanent installations. Definitely feels more street foody.
For sure.
Like Philadelphia, I would consider like a cheesesteak kind of a street food.
Yeah.
Like a lot of those places, you get them on the street.
Yeah.
There's like you have a place to sit down, maybe if they're like more permanent, but I would call that more street foody than anything.
I'll give you that. I think Philly's a good example.
Could Wawa be street food?
Possible, possible.
More highway food. I feel.
What's this whole Wawa craze?
That's a topic for another time.
No, like they pop one of these up in Florida now. So last time I visited the
Oh,
they're like,
man.
"Oh, we got a Wawa." I'm like, "What is going?
Like,
What?"
So you know, like Publix sandwiches. Now you have a competitor from Wawa.
Oh, okay. I mean, I do love me a good
It
Publix
is-
sub. We are really selling out for all of the endorsements that we have not been paid for.
It is
today.
a Philadelphia kind of area, like highway ish, like a chain
got
that
it.
they like sell gas and they have like they sell food at the same time. And people from Pennsylvania retire to Florida. So sometimes you'll see things jump from Pennsylvania, New York area, New Jersey area, straight to Florida.
Oh,
like
yeah.
there's nothing in between. You're just jumping to Florida because like you retire there, you kind of want the same stuff. So
Well,
like
And they had to drive there. They had to go down 95, and like sometimes they stopped along the way and like popped open their little Wawa, and then it's just the Oregon Trail. Like,
You told me there's like a pop up Wawa in like the Carolinas somewhere.
yeah, that's why they're always along the highway.
I like it. I like the theory.
I think we're on to ratings at this point. Is
Yeah.
there any other minutia we got, James? You got something?
So I mean, I could either do in the rating or whatever, but like, there's one thing this like I got to get off my chest, which is
Sure.
like the like the cinematography. That was the word I was looking for. The
Yeah.
like the way they shoot these shots. So I couldn't tell if it was something like. It seemed like it was in 60 FPS. I couldn't tell if we were watching 4K or not, but it seemed like it was like high quality.
We're definitely watching the highest quality Netflix has.
Right. So we have the highest quality stream coming through on like a nice TV. But yeah, like there was this weird focus thing where they always kind of had the like the iPhone like
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
profile
it was like kind
thing.
of like blurry-ish for a second, and then would like focus.
yeah, and so it was a combination of that and combined with a lot of these slow panning shots that they would do. But every time they did it, I kept asking myself like, why does this feel like they shot this on an iPhone? Like somebody is holding this iPhone.
They might have.
There's no stabilizers. Like I'm like, man, there is better technology out there. Like it just felt like second rate. I don't know if anybody else got that vibe.
Netflix had to sell all their cameras to then get like 5 or 6 more TV shows to produce.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not arguing that. I'm just saying, I like as I was watching this, there was things that it just felt like somebody was like holding an iPhone camera sideways.
I mean, the panning thing like happens pretty commonly in like food shows. Like, oh, like this person is showing off their dish to the judges. Like, pan across it. To
Oh no,
see.
no, no! I'm not saying that
Like-
the panning is
Oh,
the
like,
problem.
but the
I'm
focus
saying
bun?
it's not like a smooth and consistent shot. So like they'll try to pan, but then it's like when you're holding your iPhone with 60 FPS and you
Oh.
wiggle it up and down, or your like arm
It
gets
just
nudged.
doesn't like it changes focus poorly. Like you're like focused on one thing, and as you pan, it starts focusing on something else.
Yeah.
because like that moved out of frame and it got blurry, and you're like, "What? Why'd you do that?"
Yeah.
I agree. The shooting of the show is just not good.
Yeah, that's
Like
kind of
there's just the whole thing, what you chose to shoot, what you're showing, the editing. Like, man, I can't believe this is Netflix above the fold.
Yeah, I guess I really had like final table like expectations coming in, which
Man,
maybe
Final
falsely
Table
set
is
me up here.
good.
You guys don't pay attention to the above the fold often, do you? They put like everything up there, every like comedy special, everything.
Yeah, maybe not. I'm just saying, like,
I guess I just haven't
Netflix
been
has
burned.
given a lot of promo to this show, to me at least.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that
Uh,
was probably a cheap thing to make, and then if they can get like a lot of views out of it, and like get people to talk about it, then like people might subscribe.
Damn it. So you're saying they got us, Brian?
Yeah. This is free advertising for Netflix. We've been advertising all these good things this show, and we're also advertising this one bad thing.
I think I got two minutia
Hit
things
it.
to go for right now. So we talked about them playing cricket, but they set up a wicket with like made out of bricks. Is that like a common like thing to do
I mean, you're not
if
gonna
you
be able
don't
to,
have an actual wicket?
that's like an easy thing to find. Like it's
You-
you're not
you
gonna
just
be able to like
talked yourself.
yeah. You're not gonna destroy the field. Like you don't want to like try to like balance a stick on top of one another.
Destroy
You just
the field, Brian. Did you see that field?
Brian, I was with you.
No,
then I was.
in reality,
Then I
like
wasn't.
you don't want to put like a stick, like you're not gonna be able to like balance a stick on top of one another. It's just like, hey, you have a stack of bricks here. Like if you knock that over, like you'll see it, and then like you hit the wicket.
Definitely Google what a wicket is because I'm sure our audience has no idea.
Yeah,
the
well,
cricket.
it's just like this thing that like the bowler is trying to hit, and if-
Oh, buddy. Now we
Okay,
gotta
actually,
explain
no,
all the rules of cricket.
no,
now.
actually, the more I'm like going down this, I cannot properly explain it. Like just look it up.
Brian, I can't believe you just tried to take a stab at trying to explain cricket.
This
yeah,
is
like-
not happening.
I do
Like-
want to be clear that he wasn't making up words; those are real words.
Oh yeah, no, like
I
we watch
was
a
gonna get
decent
into
amount
it.
of cricket. I just can't like. Cricket is not the sort of thing that you're just like, okay, you got a 30-second spot.
Yeah.
Yo, give me the 30 seconds
I-
on cricket.
I definitely can't explain that in 30 seconds, and like this podcast's already off the rails.
And then, okay, my second minutia thing here is there's no Guy Fieri in this. So like Guy Fieri has that like diners, drive-ins, and dives, which is what I kind of expected the show to be like.
We
Yeah.
did see a guy with like blonde orange hair, though.
That is true.
That was yeah. Somebody said that was henna.
It is henna, yeah.
So I still don't like. I don't understand
You
this.
put
So
henna
that
in your hair?
in your hair.
I think you like bleach your hair and then color it with henna, and it stays in for like a year.
Whoa.
I saw a bunch of it in India. I don't know what you were doing.
I did not see that. That is mind blowing.
I didn't really ask people how they dyed their hair while we were there, so I don't know how they did it. And then
assume
back to
normal
this
hair
Guy
dye.
Fieri thing, and back
think
to
you're
our
onto something
original
here.
discussion here. So, like, is Diner, Drive-Ins, and Dives, is that considered a docuseries?
Yes.
And is that off the plate?
I think it's on the plate and it's docuseries. I think they did the right formula to qualify for our show.
What is the right formula? Caring
'Cause
about Guy
there's
Fieri?
There's that point. Yeah. Because Guy Fieri goes from 1 to 1. So you build up this emotional connection and then you are
No,
experiencing
I
the
think
food
if this
through
show-
Guy Fieri.
If this show is out, so is Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives.
No. If this show was about like some individual who maybe you knew or didn't know, and he was going all or she was going all.
So you're saying that, like-
these places, I would be much more intrigued. There's a bunch of shows like that.
So you're saying the show...
We've done a show like that.
Quote-unquote travel shows where they go, like, and do weird stuff.
Who's the guy?
I
Who did
don't
we-
fucking
Oh
remember
man,
what
I
show
can't
we
think of that
watched.
guy.
It was garbage.
I can't remember it now.
So those are
He passed
fine.
away. It was.
I don't know. This show is the guy
Anthony Bourdain.
Anthony Bourdain. Yeah,
right.
yeah.
Like that qualifies, right?
Does it? That was also a
that
like
was not that
docuseries.
great either. That was
I feel like we gotta cut them. They're cut, dude.
They're cut. I love
But
Anthony
Triple D,
Bourdain.
though.
They're cut.
Yo, the Triple D.
Fuck it.
Man, have you seen the Triple D?
Watch guys' grocery games instead.
No. Triple D's way different.
No,
Way
I know.
better. Guys, grocery games. The Triple G is
All
not
right.
so good.
Okay, tangent over. Let's get
Ratings.
to ratings.
Chris.
You know, I was thinking middle, but like the way we've talked about this, the more I think about it, it's got to be bottom. It's bottom third. Brian, what do you got?
I gotta say top of the bottom, and I want to peek at another episode because like I think that like other episodes are gonna be formatted differently. Like you actually bring up a good point about the cinematography and maybe like they're also gonna all have like a story behind it, but I still have hope that like there's gonna be like something. There's probably never gonna be a Guy Fieri, which immediately like just puts it like below the middle.
Rude.
so
Rude,
so
the
what you're
host.
saying every show that doesn't have Guy Fieri is below the middle.
Yeah,
Okay.
What?
or a Guy Fieri type.
Every show?
No,
I'm gonna give this bottom third, top of the bottom. Yeah.
Enough said.
James.
Again, in the bottom, I'll go middle of the bottom. I'm not going to give it the benefit of the doubt, like I think Brian did, and give it the top there. Like I will watch one more episode, to be clear, but it's not because I believe it's good. I just need to. I can't believe it's like all this bad. Like I just got to believe that like maybe we just got a bad one here.
I'm not. So have fun.
This just
Oh, yeah.
makes me want to watch Ugly Delicious, which is a good street food show.
Yeah,
Uh,
that's the real problem.
Yeah, this is just bad. Anyway, what else have people been watching? People have been keeping up with the challenge. We haven't had a challenge update in a while.
It's very good.
Uh,
I'm a little bit behind. I've been still trying
No.
to catch on that GOT. It's a
oh,
disaster.
you haven't you're not caught up?
No, I know it's a disaster.
Yeah, that's a disaster.
I hope
for
you
sure.
stayed away from Facebook.
I stay away from everyone.
It's just his,
Like-
his phone. He doesn't get internet. Is really
I turn the internet off.
Fuck.
he just gets cable and only watches HBO. Yeah, the challenge has been decent. I think that
Can we do no
yeah,
big spoilers at
there's-
least?
There's no big spoilers.
Okay.
There was one episode that didn't have an elimination, which
Whoa.
Yeah.
which I was kind of
Well-
disappointed at.
You want to know why? So, are you okay with like spoiling the formatting for the rest of it?
Not really.
No, like just like the ordering of the episode,
The what?
like the ordering of the episode. Like,
That's fine. We could talk about
Yeah.
it next week. I think that it might relate to doing the finale at some point to like have an elimination and then go right to like some sort of finale.
It's been so
I-
consistently good. Otherwise, like that was a bummer. It's fine.
It's kind of interesting because like most of the like returning vets that are like have a big personality are gone.
Yeah.
So it's like just like all these new people and like trying to pull all of that stuff together has been pretty nice. And it's not been like overly dramatic, really.
do you think that like they might have like set that up on purpose a little bit to like give highlight to like because this is like the first like a fresh start. They brought in a bunch of new
This
people
is
with
the
this.
start of a new quadrilogy.
Yeah,
I don't think it was on purpose.
I
There's no way MTV kicks off Bananas on purpose.
no, they do. Like, I mean,
Oh.
it kind of seems like it's fallen away. Like now, like
Bananas
I mean-
is his own show.
right, exactly. Like, but Cara Marie has been on like 2 other shows. Like, and Polly has been on one of those shows. Like, if you like stick in this
getting
family,
into spoilers here. Let's
Well,
just-
It's fine. I've been watching Survivor. Survivor has been consistently more interesting than the challenge. I still
How's it been watching multiple seasons? Like pretty close in
They're-
order here.
They're pretty good. Like it's definitely like interesting to have a different set of characters, and it's always kind of compelling to see who people vote off. They're very good at editing these like days of footage down to an hour. And like to see these people kind of like collapse is also kind of just fun. It's just entertaining. They're doing a really good job. I don't think the challenge does a great job at that. Like they have interesting content, but I don't think they edit it very well down to like succinct and as entertaining.
Sure.
That's fair.
So that's my Survivor versus Challenge update. Have you been keeping up with the double shot, Brian? Max?
Oh, you guys still double shotting?
I haven't watched beyond the first 2 episodes, but I would. I just haven't had time.
How did it go?
No, I haven't.
Oh.
How'd the
Oh,
episode
Max,
two
you
go?
weren't on that episode, right?
No, but I watched what you guys watched for that episode.
What were your thoughts? What's your rating?
I liked it. I'm gonna say middle, top of the middle.
All right. I think that it's,
Actually, no. You know what? They have such good chemistry. Top, bottom of the top.
all right. You got it. Top third there. Maybe a highlight next for the bottom top 5, maybe.
Yeah.
ooh,
Yeah, it's been pretty good. I think that like Vinny and Polly are just so good together, and the women just pretty crazy. Some of the women a little out there.
I really like how they set up like the elimination after like the first one.
Yeah. They're definitely just like texting people. It's
Yeah.
great.
That was
So
great. I mean,
okay, have you already been over this?
No. So like the first two episodes, they like at the end of the second episode, they got people's numbers.
Yep, remember that.
To like to be if they're on the show or not. And then the third episode and fourth episode, what they've done is they've called people down in groups via texting them. So it'd be like, hey, send down Veronica, Nikki, and whatever. And then they would come down and be like, you're all safe. Would you like to continue being like having a double shot of love or whatever? And then there'd be like 3 people that are like on the cutting floor. And then they'd call them down and be like, you guys are on the cutting floor. And Paul, like if the girl was going more for like Vinny, like Paulie would tell the girl like, hey, you got to step up your game. Like you're not ambitious enough, or like you're not opening enough or whatever. But then they'd be go to the one girl they're kicking out like, your cab is here. And then they'd be out of there. And like there's this one girl that's like, you saw the episode, is really into Paulie and like has been making an ass of herself. Like asking Paulie if, he's cheated or whatever. And like, just like being this real creeper. And like, she's still on the show. I can't believe it. Spoilers.
just too hot.
I don't think so. I think that she's good for the show.
I don't know if they need. I don't know if the producers need like contestants to like be holding up the show. I think it's gotta be like the constant.
I just think that there's probably other people on the cutting floor closer to like getting kicked out.
Definitely, there are people way below like that aren't adding much to the show. I don't know what's gonna happen later.
That's my impression of why she's still on the show. I was gonna say something else. Oh, and they still keep doing the barber scene, which is great.
Yeah,
They're still getting those haircuts?
Oh yeah. Every episode they're like, oh,
so
we gotta have this
good.
cutting room floor. They gotta have the barber scene.
Oh,
keep it
man.
fresh.
It is fantastic.
How's the living situation? Where are all the females living?
They're just living in a big room, right? Like we haven't really seen
no,
that too often.
we haven't really seen that.
We've
mostly
seen-
seen Paulie and Vinny's bedroom.
Yeah, Paulie and Vinny are living in the same bedroom.
Okay. But they're all in the house now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay, because like the first night they weren't. They were separate, then they brought them back, right?
Yeah.
So now they're all together. And has there been a bunch of feuding there?
There's definitely a lot of feuding between the women. There's like this one woman almost left because people jumped into the hot tub with Paulie and Vinny,
Oh.
and there's
How
only
dare they.
enough room for like six to 8 people in it.
Right.
So she
It's
was
a hot
like,
tub.
yeah. So she was real upset that like Paulie didn't kick somebody out to like let her in. And I'm like, oh well.
Did they clean the hot tub after the first episode when the
I
girl
don't
peed
know.
in it?
They didn't show anyone cleaning the hot tub, so maybe.
Man, if
Maybe
Courtney
not.
was on the show, it'd be a problem.
They also had they already had some guests on. They had the
Jersey Shore
owner
people?
of the t-shirt store was on.
Oh, my favorite guy, the owner of the t-shirt store.
My favorite like
4th tier character
employer.
in the Jersey Shore cinematic universe.
It was the like challenge they set up was like they had like a bunch of like dirty laundry on t-shirts, and then like the group of girls had to guess the other group's like whose dirty laundry was whose. It was definitely keyed in very well together with the t-shirt guy
Sure.
and the t-shirts. Like it worked well, I thought.
The dirty laundry thing just sounds like the rip from that old show that we watched recently.
Lap of Luxury.
Lap of Luxury.
Yeah, I mean
Good
it's
call, Matt.
definitely
Some kind of lap of luxury moment.
AKA Joe Schmo Show.
it is like not breaking any boundaries here. They're definitely just cutting things from every reality show ever. Yeah. I guess the big cultural moments we should maybe talk about Endgame as a Endgame and Game of Thrones, right?
Big week for fictional Starks.
Yeah, I mean we can't say anything about Game of Thrones clearly because James hasn't seen it.
I'll kill all of you.
James is not up to date. So, I mean, I thought it was good.
You could talk about Endgame all you want though.
Has anyone seen Endgame?
I think we should just
Nah.
there's no
We'll give it a couple weeks, I guess.
Yeah.
ratings. Top third.
Top. Yeah, I think we'll leave Endgame at top third. I think.
Yeah.
Anyone else want to talk about anything? We're good.
There's a podcast I've been listening to called Mission to Zix, which is like 5 improv people pretend to be like the crew of the Enterprise, and they just go on like stupid missions and they just improv the fuck out of it. It's very good.
Oh yeah, that sounds good. I've been watching Star Trek Discovery. It's really good. Like, it is the most compelling Star Trek I think I've ever watched.
Ooh.
So like, that's saying a lot.
I've
almost seen all of Star Trek.
I read some spoilers about some like Red Angel something or another, and that's interesting. Yeah.
Don't tell me anything. I haven't caught up yet.
Oh,
Mr. Spoilers over here.
I'm
No,
only
I-
on season 1.
it's fine.
All
Max
right.
spoils.
Spoilers are only for cars.
Well, there you go. That's it this week. You can find us on Twitter at WhoPutThisOn. You can find us on Facebook.com/WhoPutThisOn. You can email us questions and suggestions at WhoPutThisOn@gmail.com. And we'll see you guys next time.